Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Brian Michigan, alongside our forecaster for this week, Jimmy Wendolek. How are you doing today, Jimmy?
I'm doing great, Brian. With everything from nature in the news to the abundance of moisture from the remnants of Ida to the first weekend of meteorological fall, looks to be a great week.
Speaking of nature in the news, I will be covering stories about bioluminescent organisms in our oceans that can be seen from space, along with how light pollution is affecting a certain insect species. What about you, Jimmy?
For this week's show, I'll be doing stories about wildfire evacuations in California and how one New York City park is using goats to fight invasive plants.
These stories sound quite interesting, so let's dive right into nature in the news.
Invasive plants have long been an issue in our ecosystem, and one New York City park is taking an interesting approach to keeping them under control. Riverside Park is employing 5 goats, Skittles, Buckles, Chalupa, Malamar, and Miss Bo Peep, to patrol the park and remove any unwanted visitors. The idea has been successful in many different ways. It is eco-friendly, cost-effective, popular with park guests, and for the goats, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. For years, the park has been trying to eliminate invasive species such as English ivy and porcelain berry by planting control plants, but this method has had little success. The park also hired humans to help maintain the grounds, but the job proved too much for them. For the group of goats dubbed the Fantastic Five, however, the job is no problem at all.
When it comes to observing glowing areas in space, the last place you would probably expect to find it would definitely be our oceans. Thanks to new detectors on satellites, scientists were able to identify a plethora of bioluminescent organisms within the waves. Very little is known about how these organisms form, what they are made of, and even what their role is in the ecosystems. However, what we do know is that these areas of organisms can cover vast distances, with the smallest areas being equivalent to the size of Manhattan. One of the largest areas was observed just off the coast of Java, Indonesia, where these organisms covered an area larger than Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut combined. Scientists theorize that these creatures are great at luring in fish, whose guts help provide nourishing habitats. Hopefully in the future, with improving technologies, we can learn more about this glowing phenomena in our oceans.
South Lake Tahoe, California is normally filled with tourists enjoying their summer vacation, but today it is empty as a nearby wildfire has forced residents of the town to evacuate. Many did not think evacuation orders would be needed in town, but the rate at which the nearby Calder fire is growing forced their hand. The fire, which has already burned nearly 200,000 acres, expanded by 7 miles overnight, getting closer to Lake Tahoe. It has been a very difficult fire season in California, with a dozen large fires currently active in the state. The fires have burned over 1.6 million acres, triggering evacuations in many parts of California. Extreme drought conditions have contributed to these rapidly spreading blazes, and fire potential is forecast to remain above normal through the end of September.
Out of all the possible ways insect species could be declining in numbers, I bet streetlights were not what you were thinking of. A study done in the UK discovered that streetlights, specifically LED lights, were harmful to many species of moths and caterpillars. Researchers believe that the streetlights interfere with how moths lay their eggs and even lead to caterpillars being spotted and consumed much easier by predators like bats. Additionally, the streetlights can alter the feeding habitats of these insects. A study done by experts from Newcastle University and the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology found that at 26 different sites, streets with bright lights resulted in a reduction of about 50% in the number of caterpillars compared to roads that were unlit. Some of the solutions that can solve these issues include dimming streetlights in the early hours or making these streetlights motion-censored. Unfortunately, with the abundance of streetlights and even climate change and habitat destruction, insect species are disappearing 8 times faster than mammals.
Hello, I'm student meteorologist Jimmy Wendolek here with your Central Pennsylvania short-range forecast. High pressure builds in over the Great Lakes on Friday, leaving us with mostly sunny skies across much of the Commonwealth. Now, Friday also does begin the first weekend of meteorological fall, and it will feel a bit more like fall out there this weekend, with temperatures remaining a few degrees below average across much of the region. Those cool temperatures continue into the day on Saturday. We watch that high pressure slide down to our south. An absolutely gorgeous day if you're heading over to a friend's to watch the Penn State football season opener. Bright and sunny skies out ahead of this warm front that's going to be stretched across Indiana on Saturday. Now, the low associated with that warm front will slide up to our north into Canada for the day on Sunday. That warm front swings through the state Sunday morning, leaving us with showery conditions to end the weekend. So for Friday, mostly sunny skies, high temperature of 73 degrees. Does get a bit cool Friday night, low temperature of 53, one of the cooler nights we've seen here in State College in a while, under partly cloudy skies. Saturday is looking like the best day of the weekend with abundant sunshine and a high temperature just below average at 75. And to end the weekend on Sunday, we will have some showers lingering around with a high temperature of 73 degrees. That's it for our short-range forecast here in central Pennsylvania. Our feature, A Blast from the Past, is coming up next.
In the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science at Penn State, many graduates go on to become broadcast meteorologists. To meet the needs of the television industry, the department offers an option for students who want to go down that path. One of the courses required for the option is Meteorology 482. One of the assignments in this class is to make a short feature on a weather or climate topic. To commemorate Labor Day weekend and the waning of the summer season, I've chosen two features from my Whether or Not peers that dive into summer subjects. The first is a feature on beach erosion by Bryan, Michigan.
Year after year, the ocean creeps up a little bit higher on coastlines all over the world. While the change may not be obvious to the naked eye, the results of our rising seas are right in front of us. Beach erosion is a process caused by strong waves crashing up against the shoreline. This process results in sand, rocks, and other sediment getting washed away from the beach. Beach erosion is completely natural, but due to our warming climate and more frequent storm systems, our sea levels are rising and beaches are disappearing at an unprecedented rate. This is extremely dangerous for the millions of people who live on or near the coasts. Powerful storm systems now have a much greater chance of producing catastrophic storm surge damage and flooding to low-lying areas, according to Climate Central. Additionally, in the United States, beach erosion causes roughly $500 million per year in property damages and another $150 million in beach replenishment attempts like dredging.
To see the effects that beach erosion has on our coasts, I took a drive down to Bayhead beaches along the Jersey Shore.
This past winter bombarded the New Jersey coast week after week with powerful winter storms which eroded the beach, along with a massive chunk of the sand dunes. Compared to the past summer, the beach is now roughly half its original size. This trend is expected to continue after the very active 2020 Atlantic hurricane season and a few potent winter storms. The erosion is only expected to get worse, not just for the New Jersey beaches, but for coastal areas all over the world. From the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Sciences at Penn State, I'm Bryan, Michigan.
Thanks, Bryan. Next, forecaster Jimmy Wendolek speaks about a subject that many people have had headaches over recently: airline delays.
Flying is a stressful experience for many, and one thing that can add to that stress is a delayed flight. Approximately 1/4 of all U.S. flights are delayed each day, and every minute costs the airport, airline, and their passengers money. Flights can be delayed for a variety of reasons, including air traffic, mechanical issues, and waiting for the crew. But the most common cause of flight delays is inclement weather. According to the Federal Aviation Administration, inclement weather causes 70% of all flight delays and cancellations. Now, thunderstorms, snowstorms, and high winds are well-known causes for flight delays, but there's another less talked about cause that's becoming more prevalent over time: extreme heat.
So an increase in temperature decreases the density of air. So if you have less air flowing over the top of the wing, that will result in less lift being generated, so it's harder for the plane to take off from the ground.
This was an issue in Phoenix, Arizona in June 2017. A Climate Central article says that American Airlines had to cancel 50 flights as temperatures soared above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And as the number of days with heat-related cancellations and delays increases over time, airlines are looking for solutions.
They can either increase the RPMs of the engine to generate more power to get off the ground, or they could decrease the weight of the airplane by reducing the capacity.
A Columbia University study states that by the end of the century, 10 to 30% of flights departing during the hottest hours of the day will require weight restrictions in order to take off. Any restrictions would add more stress and more delays to flying, something that both pilots and passengers want to avoid. I'm student meteorologist Jimmy Wendolek here with your extended forecast for central Pennsylvania. But first, we are going to recap our weekend forecast. 2/3 of the weekend is looking very nice. Mostly sunny skies for the day on Friday. Plentiful sunshine around for the Penn State game on Saturday. High temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Now take a look at some of these low temperatures as well. All the way down to 53 degrees on Friday. That is one of the coolest nights we've had here in Happy Valley in a long time. Slightly warmer on Saturday with a low of 59. And then we do have a chance of wet weather again for the day on Sunday, with showers lingering around throughout the day and a high temperature of 73. Our extended forecast for next week shows a cool start to the month of September. 4 of the 5 days next week with high temperatures below average for this time of year. Now, our average is indicated by that green line running across the screen. It is around 76 degrees this time of year. Now, our Labor Day on Monday is looking absolutely fantastic. Beautiful day to go out and barbecue with mostly sunny skies. There is a chance of showers on Tuesday. Tuesday is also when we will see our peak temperatures for the week in the mid-70s. The threat of showers continues for the day on Wednesday, and we begin a downward trend of temperatures through the back half of the week. Mostly sunny skies for the day on Thursday. A mix of sun and clouds on Friday with a high temperature in the upper 60s. That wraps up our extended forecast for central Pennsylvania. Your whiz quiz answer is coming up next. And the correct answer is B, 50%. Wow, Brian, those are some shocking numbers. Who knew that LED lights could be such a leading contributor to the decline of insects?
It is shocking indeed, Jimmy. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of solutions are implemented in the future. And that just about does it for this week's edition of Whether or Not. We want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we look forward to next week's show. But until then, I'm Brian.
And I'm Jimmy. Have a great week.